Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Lucia and today we are going to be doing my May wrap-up. This month I actually read 11 books again, so I'm back at reading over 10 books per month. I know. Thank you. Well, technically, I read 10 books and I DNF'd one. Before I tell you about the books, let's start just with the stats. I read 4,084 pages because these books are a bit chunkier than what I'm used to. And I listened to 29 hours of audiobook.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
So the only book I DNF'd was Devon and Kris Plan a Wedding. With this book, I realized I don't like listening to main characters who immediately sexualize women when they meet them. I'm going to give it a try on ebook just because I know it's something to do with the audiobook, like listening to someone say that with someone they don't know, even though it's just a thought they have. Since I'm listening to someone speak those words, I'm like, why are you doing that? So it's not a hard DNF, I just need to change formats, but it's not available on ebook on Script so far, so I have to wait until it is. The next book I listened to was The Daughters of Izdihar. This book is about Georgina and Nihal. They meet through a guy because Nihal is married to him, like she's forced to marry him, and Georgina is actually in love with him, like they have been having a secret relationship. In this world, Nihal had to marry this guy just because she wants to go to school to learn how to use her powers, because some people here can control the earth or water or the air, like, you know, the different elements, and she wants to learn how to actually use her powers more intentionally. But women can only go to school if their parents allow it or if their husbands allow it. And since her parents don't let her, she is forced to marry him just to get a chance to go to school. Georgina is from a lower class, so she doesn't even have the chance to go to school. She has to work and take care of her family. But that guy isn't the only thing that unites them. They also form part of the same group of women that are trying to fight for their rights and for the lives they want to live. So it was really interesting to read. But I had an issue with Nihal mainly. She felt like a rich person who thought they could do anything they wanted just because she was rich. It felt like she wanted to be the savior and she just got there. So she didn't have any information, she didn't have any skills, she didn't have anything to back her up. So that took me out of the story because the rest of it, I was really enjoying it. But whenever she came in scene, I was like...
Clap if you've ever wanted to kill somebody.
And the last audiobook I listened to was Delicious Monsters by Lisel Sambury. I'm going to post a blog soon of me reading a couple of books for a challenge, and this was one of the books I just randomly picked up. I'm so glad I did. This has taken the Lesbian's Guide to Catholic School spot for my favorite book of the year. The amount of emotions and things that I felt reading this book, I think drove me crazy a little bit. I'm truly not the same person I was before reading that book. Like, I love those characters. Everything that happened was so raw and deep and conflicting, and there is just so many emotions whenever I think of this book. Like, I cannot really express it. It's about these two girls. One lives in the past, it's her main story, and then one lives in the present and she is investigating what happened in the past. And the plot twist, just thinking about it, you have to read it. Anyway, the main protagonist, she can see ghosts. She is feeling lonely where she lives because she feels like an outsider since no one else is like her. And her boyfriend recently broke up with her. So when her mom got a phone call saying that they had inherited a house, they decided to accept it and go live there. I'm just now remembering and I want to read it again. As soon as I finish it, I wanted to reread it again. So they go live to that house, and it's a haunted house. So there are creepy things happening. So many trigger warnings this book has. Like, it's not a light read at all. But it is so good. I don't know. So it has a lot of trigger warnings, and that means a lot of deep conversations and stuff happen on the book. But also, it has such a light side with love and family, and changing how the story continues and deciding how you want to create your own life. And it's just so wonderful. This was the first book I had the entire year where it's a 10 out of 10. All of the books that are 5 stars are usually 9.5, 9.8. This was the only one that is 10 out of 10. So I really cannot recommend it badly enough. Like, you need to read it. Then I read 3 graphic novels. I read the first 2 volumes of Fence. So basically almost nothing, because nothing much happens in some 2 volumes. Like, we only get a little glimpse of what the story is going to be. I couldn't continue because Scribd took away all of my books and they weren't available, so I didn't continue. Now I'm probably going to do it soon. And then I read Monstress, which I wasn't expecting this book to be so gory. I've seen this cover a lot. It never really sticked to me that this book was going to be gory, and it truly is. I think there was some point where cannibalism was a thing, and it's also super graphic. So it put me off at the beginning. My brand is to be fluffy and light and funny, and this book is not that. And there is so much going on in this book too. So I also want to continue reading this book, like to know what happens to the main character. But just the cannibalism thing is a bit too much for me. Now on to ebooks. The first one I want to talk about is also a 5 star. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it was still amazing. This Violent Delights. This book was also very disturbing. I feel like this month I read very disturbing things. I never have suffered and enjoyed a month so much as I did this one. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in Shanghai, and it's about these 2 groups that are controlling Shanghai and fighting against each other to get more land. But there is also a creepy monster coming out of the ocean and killing people. Like, they don't know how it's happening or what the monster really is. So they have to start working together in secret so they can find out what is happening and who is behind all of that. I just have to say, this world is disturbing, but also so fleshed out. Like, I could feel I was in that city with those characters, and that's what I love about reading, just feeling like I'm there. Also, this book makes you, at least it made me, love the characters so much. Like, they are not nice people, but I'm still rooting for them. It has a lot of commentaries on how society works and how things affect people who are not in power and who have to submit to other people. Next, I read The Jasmine Throne. This book is about our 2 main protagonists. One used to be a temple child, but then the temple got burned down. So she escaped, but now she cannot reveal who she is because people will kill her. Basically, being a temple child means that she got some special powers that other people don't have. And our other main protagonist, she is the sister of the emperor. He tried to make her sacrifice herself to the fire, but she didn't want to die. So now he's forcing her into isolation just for her to clarify her thoughts, think through things, so then she can come to the conclusion that she should sacrifice herself. And she very much hates that brother. So throughout the story, you get these 2 girls starting to work together. It's a sapphic story, but the sapphic romance is like really minimal. The main thing of the story is the world and backstabbings and secrets and people who everyone thought were there coming back alive. This also has societal critiques between different classes and how rich people treat poor people. Well, I like the temple child one, Emperor's sister. She is more complicated. She's mostly thinking about herself. I feel like it's on purpose that we shouldn't trust her. So I'm really looking forward to the next books and to see if my instincts are correct. Then I read The Unbroken. This is also another story where the sapphic story is really minimal and the main thing is the world. There is this nation that controls everything, and they go to another place to invade it, and the people there are treated super badly and like they are nothing basically. So the first chapter is when the princess of the empire and her entire crew get to that place, because of course people don't want them there, so there are complications and she needs to go and solve it to make everyone more docile. And our main protagonist is that princess and one of the guards. Doreen is the name of the guard, and I love her. Like the same with Violent Delights, these characters are not 100% good or make the best choices every time, but she deserves so much more than what she gets in this book. And I really want to read the next book just to see her come into her glory and achieve everything she ever wanted, because I really feel like she can do it and I want to see how. And lastly, I read Sorrowland by River Solomon. Also another not light read. This book is about our main protagonist. She's escaping a cult and she's pregnant. So the first chapter is she having her babies in the woods, and then she has to raise them there while escaping the cult and trying to not be found by other people. This has a sci-fi element and like plot twist. This story is mainly focused on our main protagonist and everything she has gone through, and also everything a lot of people go through to end up in those situations. I really like the ending because it showed you why people would decide to get in a cult and how it's not easy to escape from that once you are in it, and how everyone is trying to do their best with the resources they have and with the options they have. Also, you need to keep in mind this girl is 15, so sometimes she's very naive, or the way the story is told feels a little bit teenagey, because of course there are some parts of the book that are kind of random, and that took a little bit of the story for me. For example, we get one random POV of one of her child and not the other, and the way that child spoke, like the way it's written, it was definitely not how a 4-year-old would think or talk. It was too mature. There is also one scene where she cuts someone's head off and she's grabbing the hers and stops a car, and the guy from the car is like, what the fuck? And she tells him, just take me to the nearest town. And he's like, okay, I hope you like Rihanna, and starts playing Rihanna in the radio, and then they drove off. So those are all the books I read this month. I didn't have any bad reads, just average and then amazing. So I'm really happy, and also I read more than 10 books. That is my goal of each month. If you made it this far, comment the yellow heart emoji, just because a lot of covers are yellow. And let me know if you have read any of these books or what was your favorite read of last month. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again on Friday.